Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。For years, Western media and the usual hawks in Washington have been screaming from the rooftops that a conflict in the Taiwan Strait was inevitable, even putting a ticking clock on it. But this week, something happened that has the China threat industry in a total tailspin. Chinese Kuomintang spokesperson Cheng Li-wun is currently leading a delegation on a 6-day visit to the Chinese mainland, marking the first time a sitting KMT leader has made the trip in a decade. While the people on both sides of the strait are looking for a thaw in relations, the media reporting reveals a massive divide between those who want peace and those who seem to profit from the status quo of tension. Today, we're going beyond the propaganda to see who is actually calling for reconciliation and who is desperately trying to block the exit ramp to peace. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. First up, let's look at how the Chinese mainland media is framing this historic visit. The Global Times has been reporting with a tone of cautious optimism, calling it a potential turning point. In an editorial titled Cheng Li-wun's visit sends a clear and powerful message to the world, they wrote, "As the spring breeze of 2026 sweeps across the Taiwan Strait, long-frozen cross-strait relations are showing signs of thawing, bringing a long-awaited touch of warmth. This visit sends a clear and powerful message to the world. As long as the 1992 consensus and the One China principle are upheld, the door to cross-strait dialogue will remain wide open. Cross-strait cooperation will flourish, and the Chinese mainland's sincerity will stand firm." Chinese mainland reporting focuses heavily on the idea that the Chinese people on both sides have the wisdom to solve their own problems without external intervention. During a welcome banquet in Nanjing, Song Tao, head of the Taiwan Work Office of the CPC Central Committee, reiterated this, stating that both sides are fully capable and wise enough to resolve their home affairs. It's a message of peace through dialogue, and the itinerary itself, spanning Nanjing, Shanghai, and Beijing, is designed to highlight shared history and economic ties. But if you flip over to the pro-independence media in Taiwan, the narrative couldn't be more different. The Taipei Times, which often mirrors the DPP's anti-Beijing stance, has been running headlines claiming Cheng is harming Taiwan Island. Look at how they describe a simple visit to the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum, a site dedicated to the founder of the KMT. The KMT has no right to decide the nation's future behind closed doors with the Chinese Communist Party. Cheng's praise for the so-called 1992 consensus as an enduring document facilitated Beijing's narrative, as the agreement allegedly reached by the KMT and the CCP is part of China's blueprint for annexing Taiwan. Now, in case you're wondering what the 1992 consensus is, it's basically an agreement reached by both sides over 30 years ago, stating that there is only one China and that the Chinese mainland and Taiwan belong to that one China. The Taipei Times even quotes the Mainland Affairs Council as calling Cheng's homage to her own party's founder a propaganda campaign and furtive references to the ROC that went entirely unnoticed by Chinese media. It's a bizarre take. They're essentially arguing that talking is a form of surrender. While the mainland talks about thawing and warmth, the pro-independent side is using words like annexation and united front strategy to scare the public. So why is the DPP so panicked? According to experts cited in the Global Times, it's because their political survival depends on an anti-China information cocoon. When high-level interactions occur, it has a broken window effect, exposing people in Taiwan to the reality that the mainland is actually open to cooperation. As the Global Times notes, over the past decade under the DPP, Taiwan regional authorities have refused to recognize the 1992 consensus, the political foundation of cross-strait relations, and unilaterally dismantled mutual trust. While the DPP authorities play political games, it is always ordinary Taiwan residents who pay the price. While this is happening, the Western media is trying to play it neutral, but they can't help but frame the visit through the lens of US interests. The BBC reports that Cheng's trip comes amid growing skepticism about the US in Taiwan, particularly due to Donald Trump's mixed signals and his demands that Taiwan pay the US for defending it. Al Jazeera adds that the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East have left many in Taiwan wondering if a distracted United States would actually show up in a crisis. But here is where it gets really interesting. While even some Western outlets like Euronews are calling this a journey for peace, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, or ASPI, which is heavily funded by the very manufacturers of the weapons of war, didn't get that peaceful memo. Writing for ASPI's The Strategist, Nathan Attrell frames this peaceful dialogue as a sinister form of external political interference. He writes, "By elevating party-to-party ties, the CCP is not simply keeping a non-military pathway open. It is actively trying to shape Taiwan's political landscape. This is political signaling with intent, rewarding engagement, marginalizing resistance, and influencing how Taiwan's voters perceive their options." Think about the irony here. A think tank funded by arms companies is complaining that a non-military pathway is kept open. LOL. They call it influence when leaders talk, but I guess it's just deterrence when the US visits the island to push them to spend a whopping $40 billion on defense that would see the pockets of Washington elites lined with cash. So who really wants peace? Well, on one side, you have Cheng Li-wun stating at the airport, "The purpose of this visit is precisely to show the world that it is not just Taiwan that unilaterally hopes for peace," and expressing a desire for peaceful dialogue and exchange to resolve all possible differences. On the other side, you have the DPP spokesperson, Wu Cheng, claiming that seeking stability weakens Taiwan's self-defense resilience. It's the same old story we see time and time again. When China proposes peace plans or engages in diplomacy, the Western media calls it propaganda or interference. But when the US floods a region with $40 billion in missiles and drones, it's simply security. As the Global Times points out, Cheng's visit represents a mainstream call in Taiwan for peace, development, exchanges, and cooperation. People are tired of being used as pawns in a geopolitical game that only benefits the military-industrial complex. As one student in Nanjing told reporters, "I think this is very important for peaceful exchanges. I came with my classmate to see Cheng's motorcade." Now, the contrast there couldn't be sharper. The Mainland and the KMT are speaking the language of reconciliation and unity, while the pro-independence camp and their fanboys at ASPI are speaking the language of grey zone tactics, coercion, and arms procurement. One side wants to build a bridge, the other side wants to blow it up. It's clear to see just who is who. And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is this journey for peace really political interference? Or is that just what the people selling the weapons want you to believe? And why is the DPP so afraid of a KMT leader laying a wreath at a mausoleum? Do let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.